see. Why is it stuck on? There we go. We all seem to be freezing and lagging, so hopefully we can make it through this. So with the emotional skill building, what we'll practice today is just going through, I've chosen a couple of the exercises that was in the training manual, get a feel for what it's like, those coaching conversations with the teams that we're working with. So the concept of this module really is to help them to start skills that they need to be able to make good decisions, to be able to um, manage and regulate their emotions, to be able to own the fact that we have a range of emotions, and then sort of knowing what to do with that. So there's a piece on stress management, there's a piece on time management. So just all of the sort of basic, mental and emotional skills that we need to be successful. So the first one I have set up for Rachel and I to do together. I'm going to be the coach. Rachel's going to be the client. And this one it's just kind of a general conversation. Have, say, with a team that you have just noticed something about. So it's not necessarily when they've come to you to want coaching for something, but just something that you notice that you want to have a conversation with them about. So sort of how to start the process.
Okay.
So so Rachel, you are a team that's in a program that I'm working with. And so again, I just have set up a time for you and I to talk. So how are you doing today?
So I'm a teenager. I'm not myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Want to
But
make
you
sure.
can kind of be yourself in the same sense because the topic is general. So it would work with, an adult as well as a teen. But yes, so you're a
Okay.
teen in the program that I'm working in. And so we're just going to have a conversation about something I've noticed.
Okay. I'm doing okay. A little tired.
Well, I wanted to know, I've noticed that you have seemed to be maybe a little anxious or nervous, maybe, is what I'm sensing. And so I wanted to know if we could have just a conversation about that today.
Okay.
Okay. So just tell me, since we're kind of going on my perception of things, or just sort of what I've noticed, and I am concerned about you. Um, just tell me, like right now, I know you said you feel a little tired. Can you sort of express a little bit more, sort of what emotions you're feeling?
Well, last night was graduation, and so I stayed out really late. And I know it's the last time I'm going to see some of those seniors that are graduating. So I spent a lot of time with them and didn't get home until really late. And then I had to get up early this morning. Um, and I don't know, there's my sister's getting ready to have a baby. She's the first one in our family to ever have a baby. Things are kind of wild.
Really?
Good morning, Kaisha. Are you
Good
driving?
morning. I am driving and the paramedics are behind me trying to get to this car, but this person won't move up.
Oh
I
my
am
goodness.
driving.
Okay. We're going to need you to be safe.
I'm gonna keep myself. Hold on.
Herself, I think. Yes. I can't believe she's driving. Uh, okay, so you said that your sister just had a baby,
She's getting ready to have a baby.
ready to have a baby. Okay. And you said that I think I heard you say she's the first one in your family.
Yes. So I'm about
Okay, so let's yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm about to be an aunt, and I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's a couple of things I guess that we could talk about or explore. One, the graduation. And I know you said that you were or having thoughts about the fact that that would be the last time you would see some of those students that graduated. And then, the other piece that you've talked about is your sister, having the baby and you about to be an aunt for the first time. So is there sort of one or the other, is either of those things causing you to sort of feel either overwhelmed or to feel, one causes you to feel more tired than the other?
Maybe my sister having the baby and me becoming an aunt.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit then. So your sister's having a baby and you're about to be an aunt for the first time. Emotions do you think you will feel when that day comes, when she the baby?
Well, I'm really scared because I don't like babies and I don't want to have my own kids when I grow up. So I don't know if I'll be a good aunt, and I don't know if I'll be able to help her take care of the baby because I'm afraid of babies. And I don't know what to.
Okay. So, how close are you and your sister?
We're very close.
Okay. So, do you guys live together or you live separately?
We live separately, but we live really close to each other, and we see each other almost every day.
Okay. All right. And you said you guys are really close. Have you growing up sort of, let's talk a little bit about sort of what your relationship was like when you guys were growing up. Is it just the two of you?
No, we have a little brother too.
Oh, brother. Okay. So are you the older or the middle child?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest. Okay. So what was, just give me a few words to kind of describe what your relationship was like with your sister growing up.
Growing up, um, she growing up, it was not a good relationship. She annoyed me because she wanted to be like me, and she would always take my clothes and borrow them, and usually get a stain on them because she's a messy eater. And we didn't, in real life, we didn't get close till I was a freshman in college. But if I'm a teenager, we still don't really like each other. I'm wavering between reality and being a teenager.
Well, and here's the thing. You can, because we're sort of modeling just a general coaching conversation around or either being sort of nervous, anxious, that kind of thing, then if it's easier, we can just go with the reality. So there some reality to the fact that your sister's about to have a baby?
Yes.
All right, so let's just go with reality. That way you don't have to sort of try to think in your mind to go back and forth between thing and the current.
Okay. I'm a terrible
Okay.
actress. Sorry.
And that's why I usually don't like to do the sort of situations where we're trying to put ourselves in the mindset of a teen, because it does make it makes it a little harder for us to sort of go through and to really get good coaching with that. But in some ways it makes it a little bit more relevant because we're looking at sort of what a teen would say. But the whole acting piece is the hard piece of it, because sometimes I think as adults we overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
And we do what we think, sort of you picture in your mind the worst teen that you have, the most challenging, and you sort of act that out, and so it's always an extreme kind of a deal. So so we'll go with the reality piece.
Okay.
So let me just clarify. So you said that your you and your sister had a little bit of a challenging relationship when you were younger, but that she sort of wanted to be like you. And that as you've gotten older and as you've sort of grown and matured, that you guys have a closer relationship now.
Yes.
So what role do you think you play now in your sister's life now that you guys are closer?
Um, she's still, a part of her still wants to be like me. And, but she ended up, after she graduated from college, she ended up moving to Japan where I was already working. And that's probably when we got really close, is while we were living in Japan together for 3 years. And during that time, like, we've learned that we both have strengths, and we're accepting that we're not the same at all, and we both have different strengths and different weaknesses. And now we work for the same program, and it's the same thing. And she still has some self-esteem issues that are still lingering from when she was a teenager. Um, so sometimes she'll fall back into that and then still try to imitate what I do, but for the most part, she's very secure in where she's like found her place. Um, and I think I've wondered and I've gotten off topic on the question.
No, there is no off topic. There is no off topic.
So she
So
had a really hard time in middle school, and I think that left a lot more emotional scarring than like, it will surface every once in a while, and especially when she's working with middle school. She can tell much more of the hardships they go through. Um, and she's much more emotional and much more um, touchy-feely than I am. And so that's where she always shines. And so our relationship now is we are much better at playing off each other's strengths and working together. But there are still times that I'm much more logical and she's much more emotional, and we're sisters, so there's still times where we fight.
so when you think about the fact that your sister now works in the same program, same place that you do, and then she's lived in the same place that you've lived in the past. When you think about that, emotions or what emotions come up for you when you think about your sister being sort of on the same path that you're on and being and working in the same place?
A part of me really loves it, because I think that in both instances, she's been able to really show others who she is and that she is an individual and has her own strengths. But then at the same time, I worry that she's only doing it because she wants to still be like me, and that she's not brave enough to branch out and do what she really wants and what she really could do, because she wants to still be like me, if that makes sense. So there's both sides. There's pros and cons that I really love having her around, but at the same time, I wonder if she's missing out on, some happiness or some success because she thinks she'll get approval from more people if she does the same thing I do.
All right. So I know you mentioned being an aunt and that type of thing. Um, what do you feel like your role will be once the baby comes?
Well, I want to be the world's best aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll be the closest aunt to the baby. But I really am. I don't know what to do with babies. Until children can talk, I really, really don't know what to do with them, and they really scare me. So, you know, I want to be there to help her, but at the same time, I'm terrified. Like, I'm really not good with just holding them and talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
like, I'm afraid she's going to want me to be more hands-on than I think I'm possible.
Okay. Okay. So to be my next question. So do you feel like do you feel a sense of responsibility, or do you feel like your sister wants you to have a sense of responsibility to help her with the baby?
I know that I want to help her, especially in the fall. My job is going to be changing, and so I will be able to help her maybe more than I would if I was going to keep my current schedule. And our school district has terrible maternity leave for mothers, so because of that, I do want to help her, because it's just going to be a huge financial adjustment. But she knows me. She knows that I'm not a fan of babies, and I think she's hoping that a nephew will change that. But she knows that I don't really do things that I don't want to do. So as of right now, I think she's going to be happy for me to be as hands-on as I want to be. But that could change.
Okay. Okay. So is there, do you feel like you need to process the baby portion with her more? Like, how much conversation have you had with her about, you know, matter of days or weeks the baby is coming and sort of what that's going to look like?
We have talked about it quite a bit, but the whole process just, like, really, I don't want to experience it, and so I try to listen and I try to be supportive, you know. And I took AAP. I know how it all works, and I've seen the videos, but I just I don't really want to know all the details, and I feel bad because she doesn't have a ton of friends that she can talk about this with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, I'm trying to be supportive and trying to listen and trying to be there for her, but at the same time, I don't want to hear stories about childbirth and all of that.
Okay. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll stop here because I want to make sure we get through all of them. But as we're going through this, so the things that I want to point out is because it was just a general coaching conversation, where it was like, I noticed that Rachel just seems a little different. She seems, you know, and my perception was, looks like she might be maybe a little nervous, anxious, overwhelmed, something along that line. So I wasn't really sure, you know, had no idea what was going on. And so I just want to start to have a conversation to see if she will open up and kind of talk about what's going on. So she clearly opened up, started talking about what was going on and sort of how she feels about it. And so a number of ways that we can go with this conversation to work with Rachel around specific issues that have come up. So what I'm going to ask Olivia and possibly Kaisha, if she can still hear us, is out of what you heard, when you think about if you were having this conversation with Rachel, directions that you could take a conversation with her to kind of talk a little bit more about what's going on.
For me, there are kind of two distinct ones that I thought of, and one is about exploring what other support her sister has in her life. Because she's, you know, being a wonderful sister and very much taking on responsibilities, but what, you know, is there a partner? Are there friends? What does her sister have as a network? That's not putting it all directly on Rachel. And then looking at the other one is what she can do to support her sister that doesn't involve things that she's uncomfortable with. You know, because new moms, you do laundry for a week and you're the hero of of the story, and that involves no baby cuddling. So what she feels that
Right.
she can do to be a supportive sister and to take direct actions to do that without moving outside of somewhere she's really not comfortable with. So those are the kind of the two that I thought of.
Okay. And definitely, if we were continuing this conversation, that's definitely the direction that I would go is what, what things are you comfortable with? Let's first, sort of get down a specific list of how you're comfortable supporting and helping your sister. That, when your sister has the baby, and if she doesn't have, the additional support, then she probably will be overwhelmed because it's her first baby and those kinds of things. And so at those times, it is really easy. And because you've played that role of being the big sister, of being there for her, she looks up, she follows in your footsteps. So yourself being very responsible, a lot of things, probably a lot more things than you want to. And so what I would probably work with you on is you getting very clear prior to the baby's arrival as to what role you want to play. So doesn't all of a sudden become dictated by either circumstances, that type of thing. So that's definitely a direction to go to immediately. But then they're in long-term coaching. At some point, we would also work our way to just a lot of the things you alluded to about your overall relationship with your sister and sort of the feelings that you have about her still looking up to you and following you, and sort of, your desire to tread your path and to have her, walk her path. To maybe alter at some point your role, as and maybe not feel like you always have to be sort of in that position of being the responsible one, the supportive one, the all of those things that big sisters tend to be, to younger sisters. So there's definitely direction. So what I wanted you to see was, do you see how sort of one small nugget and one small conversation, then as you start to talk to, the teens, it can go in 20 different directions. And so the key is, we have activities and things that we do specifically when we know there are certain things that, so for example, this one, she opened up pretty quickly about, and sort of how she feels about that. But this is where we would then look activities that we have, and we could pull certain activities to have her work on. If, say, she was a little more reluctant, or we on some deeper issues with the emotions, and that's when we would sort of pull those activities. But initially, you have to have a conversation to kind of get you going, so that then you know which resources to go to in order to know which skills you need to sort of coach on. So, again, this could go like 100 different ways. If Rachel was having difficulty saying no to her sister, and I cued in on the fact that she said, well, I don't do things I really don't want to do. Wasn't the case, then, and she was having trouble saying no to her sister, then one of the things that we could pull to was working with her on refusal skills, on how to be able to say no, but to say no in a kind and loving but firm way, so that the other person knows she really does mean no. It's not like, well, you're saying no now, but if I ask you 20 times, you'll still do it. or, you know, those kinds of things. So helping, and again, adults need help with this, but teens as well, in how to say no in situations where you feel responsible, you feel pressured to do something, but it's not really what you want to do. And so, you know, there in the workbook, there is an activity on refusal skills, on how to, again, just, you know, be firm and say no, how to not really answer the question right then, but how sometimes to give an alternative. You know, if your sister says, well, I want you to be in the room, you know, for the delivery, and you're like, that is so not what I want to do. Then, you know, it's like, how can I give you an alternative? Okay, I'll be at the hospital delivery room. So that way that's an alternative, you know, sort of, yes, I'll say yes, that I'll be present. I'll be there waiting, but I'm not going to be there watching sort of the whole thing take place. So that's again, a direction that we could go with it. And sort of about how this has played out, and how, again, you can take just something small with a teen and then, you know, start to move the coaching process with it. Okay, so then the next one, how are you still driving?
Yes, I'm still driving the bridge and away from the accident. So, but I can
Okay.
hear you. It's fine.
Okay, how are you with
Talking to scholars or teens, period.
no, so in a coach, so what we're doing is practice coaching.
Mm-hmm.
How would you be with one of them talking to you and coaching you through something? Or I'm hesitant because you're driving. So here's what I'm going to do: keep driving and keep listening, and then let me know when you get still someplace. So I'll have someone coach you through something. But I don't want you to be like, again, distracted driving is dangerous. So I don't want you to be doing that. So just keep listening, and then I may stop and ask you some questions, because I want to make sure that you're on sort of how this works. So I'm going to have Olivia. I hate to keep putting Rachel on the hot seat. Well, we'll flip it. So I'm going to have Rachel coach Olivia. So you recall or maybe I'll just choose an easier one. Yeah, we'll do an open one, because I don't know how much you have in front of you, so I don't want to. So in the manual, there was in the section on self-regulation of emotions.
Okay.
The one that talks about the sober technique, where you stop, you observe, you breathe, you observe again, and then you respond.
Okay.
So just in thinking about that is a quick process that we can use to coach teens to sort of not be so reactive so quickly. Think about stop, breathe, observe, take a deep breath. And then again, you're just observing sort of how you feel, and then you're going to respond to whatever the situation is that's going on. So take a couple seconds, get that in your mind. And what you're going to do is to coach Olivia. So Olivia is a student that's in your program this summer. And what you have noticed about Olivia is that she is very quick to react and to get into fights with other teens that are there at your program. So she's just, again, she's kind of has a explosive type of a personality, where something very quickly, someone can say something, and then very quickly, she reacts to it and responds to it negatively. right, so Olivia, you got who you are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Rachel, take it away.
Hey, Olivia, how are you today?
Okay.
I was talking to Mrs. O'Hare, and she said that, you know, this morning you were having some troubles getting into class and focusing on the lesson. Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Okay. I know when I was getting ready for summer school that we were supposed to have it at RJ Ritchie, and everything was planned and everything was there. And then I had a cafeteria lady come and tell me that they were moving the location to here to Shady Grove, and I flipped out. I I had a pencil in my hand and I threw the pencil against the wall and I said, "You've got to be kidding me." I did not handle it awesome. But I was so upset because I found out from a lunch lady that we were changing locations. Have you ever had a time where you've just totally flipped out?
I guess.
Yes. Can you tell me about what happened when that happened to you?
I don't know. This girl just made me mad. She like wouldn't shut up, and I don't know. She just made me mad.
Well, was she talking about something specific or just talking in general?
I don't know. She just wouldn't stop talking. She just kept saying the same thing over and over, and she wouldn't leave me alone. I told her to get out of my face, and she didn't, and I was just mad.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I hit her.
What happened after that?
I don't know. I guess people got pretty mad at me, but she made me mad, so I don't know why they weren't yelling at her.
Yeah. And how did you feel about no one really understanding your perspective?
Mad. Are you listening?
Well, even when we lose control, we have to learn how to find other ways besides hitting to express our emotions.
Why?
You know, I told you I threw a pencil up against the wall and I didn't handle it well. And it's hard. It's really hard to control your emotions, especially when someone is in your face and antagonizing you constantly. But there's something that I use that has helped me, and maybe we can talk through it and see if you think it's something that might help you. How does that sound?
Okay, I guess.
Okay, so you know, think back to that situation with the girl and how she was in your face, and you said you were mad, and the teacher didn't seem to have anything to say to that girl, only to you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's this technique called sober that the first thing you need to do, the S stands for stop. And so whenever you start feeling mad or angry at a situation, you need to pause and recognize what's happening. And, you know, as you were saying, you were mad, you know, stop and say, okay, I am really mad right now. And just stop before you react and wait.
Why?
Well, usually if you can stop and kind of regulate your emotions and say, I'm mad, it gives you a second to pause and let your brain catch up with the way you're feeling. Do you think you could try that? And then after that, you stop and observe. So check in with your body and see what's going on. Like, are you sweating? Or do you feel hot? Do you feel anxious? Are you not breathing? Are you breathing too fast? And then think again, okay, am I still really mad? Am I still really angry? Okay, and those are okay emotions because those are real emotions. Okay. So you check in with your emotions, you check in with your thoughts. Are you still mad at the girl? Is the girl still right in front of you?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. And so breathe. It sounds very silly, but if you take deep breaths and calming breaths, breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. It's amazing how much better that feels. Like, try it with me. Just take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Does that make you feel any different? Do you feel a little more calm now?
I feel kind of stupid.
Okay, so you go back to the O and you observe again. Like you said, you feel a little stupid, but are you still feeling angry?
I don't know. It's not happening right now.
Okay, that's true. Sometimes when you're not in the moment, it's hard to know exactly how you'd feel in that moment.
But like, what am I supposed to be looking at? Because if I'm looking around, I'm just going to see the girl that made me mad, and then I'm going to be mad all over again.
I would suggest you try to remove yourself from the situation. Either move to a different seat, move to a different area of the room, ask the teacher if you can step outside for a few moments.
They're not going to let me do that.
Or
Like,
you could
they're not
ask
gonna
the
let me
teacher.
go anywhere. I'm just going to get in trouble.
I have other students that when they need a break, they just tell the teacher, I need to go see Miss Denton. And then the teacher can radio me, and then you can just meet me in the hallway. And we'll go to the library, and you can just sit and chill out for a while. And then we can go through these together.
Side note, it's great that your school does that. I wish all schools did that. Okay.
And then the last step is to respond, and you want to respond mindfully to the situation. Hopefully, if you've gone through the steps and you've stopped and you've observed and you've breathed and you've observed again, that you're calm enough to make a mindful decision on how to react.
What if I still want to hit her?
If you still want to hit her, then you definitely need to come hang out with me for a while. And then I can take you to the gym and we can grab a punching bag and you can punch that and get some aggression.
So whenever I'm mad, I'm just supposed to leave? What about the people that made me mad? Why do they just get to stay there and I have to leave?
Well, until we can get you to the point where you can control your emotions better, we're not leaving to give up. We're leaving to help you control your emotions and respond better. And then I will also go and take care of the issue that's happening with the other girl.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to talk to her and see why she's bothering you and why she's antagonizing you. And then I might see if there's something that we can do so y'all can be peaceable together.
I don't want to be peaceable with her. She pisses me off.
Well, we want to at least be able to be in the same room without any issues happening. I'm not going to expect y'all to be best friends, but I want y'all to be able to be in the same room together and not want to physically hurt each other.
They get her to stop talking to me because I wouldn't do anything if she didn't get in my face and make me mad.
And that's what I'll talk to her about, is why she feels the need to talk to you when you obviously don't want to have a conversation at the moment with her.
All right, let's stop there.
Oh, good.
And so there is Olivia. She challenged you
Yeah, much better.
because it's
I have this conversation like once a day. My
Yeah,
kids have such impulse control issues. And it's always everyone else's fault. It's never their fault.
right, exactly. Um, the thing that I like, Rachel, was Olivia wasn't, she didn't start out being very open and wanting to have a conversation about anything, period. I like the way that you didn't necessarily respond to her being closed. It wasn't, you didn't, like a lot of times we will respond to it and saying, well, this is something you have to do, or we need to, you're like, I'm not responding to that at all. And so we're going to keep this conversation. Worked really well at the beginning to just keep the conversation going. And I think the thing that probably did, and Olivia can speak to this, get her to sort of move and shift in a way that did cause the conversation to open up was you giving the example of, well, this is what happened to me. That this is, because again, that kind of, because you were willing to give a personal example and say, well, there are times, and this is what happened. Has that ever happened to you? Is there, a time? And so that gave her an opportunity to see, one, oh, okay, well, we're not just, you kept it away from like, this is what we think about you. So we think you have this issue, which is a lot of times how these conversations go, is that, well, we think you have this issue with controlling yourself or controlling your anger, or, a typical that I hear a lot is, well, you always do this. You're always getting into it with somebody. You're always, and so again, it's very defensive right away. And so, there were a number of times where you, even in giving the example and sort of working your way into, well, how can we talk about this sober technique? Even in your saying, well, here's something that I use that helps me. And so, you started going through the steps. So I think in both of those ways, connecting itself kind of helped her a little bit regard so much, because you didn't focus just the conversation on, you need to fix, this issue that you're having. Um, um, the example of when she said something about why would I want to do that? And you said, well, because it gives you your brain a chance to catch up with how you're feeling. So again, we have to, I think sometimes we're afraid to sort of have technical conversations with kids around these things, but they really do want to know. And she did ask like a lot of why type questions. So they really do want to kind of understand, well, why is it that you want me to do this? Well, how is this supposed to work? Well, is this really supposed to help me with whatever? So, putting it in a way that they understand it, but really being able to explain to them, look, this is kind of what happens, to all of us with our brains. And we need to give ourselves that chance so that we don't do or say something, that we don't want to, or that will cause us some harm or somebody else some harm, something along that line. So I like the way you sort of started to weave that piece in, as well as the practicing, with her, the piece about, okay, let's practice this. Let's practice the breathing portion. And even though she said, I feel stupid, which kids will, this is dumb, but it's like, well, yeah, it feels weird kind of to all of us when we start doing it, but the more you do it, the less it'll sort of feel that way, and it'll be helpful. So there were, like I said, she gave you a number of challenges, but you were really able to sort of weave your way through some of those challenges. The one thing I will say is when you did the parts, you talked about sort of checking in with your body. And she said, I think something along the lines of, as you went with it, she was like, well, I don't know how I feel because I'm not feeling that way now. With the checking in with your body piece, what you could have asked her is, well, think about the day when, you had this, this altercation or whatever with this person. Can you think back and remember sort of how your body felt? Does your body feel a certain way when you get really mad? And you could even even, you know, if the child is still sort of very closed off, you can still give an example. Like when I get really mad, you know, my stomach really sort of knots up, or my heart starts beating really fast. And, you know, they can all sort of think back to, oh yeah, when I get really mad, you know, this is what happens to me. And so that way she kind of has a better connection in sort of what you mean by checking in with your body and sort of seeing, you know, how your body feels. So Olivia, what's your feedback to Rachel?
It was great how calm you kept, and then I could see that you actually stopped to think about the questions that I was asking. You know, how quickly teens pick up on the fact, you know, if they think we're reading from a script or if they think we're just kind of giving them answers. You really answered the questions I was asking specifically to what I was asking. In my kind of channeling teendom, I just like found kind of myself almost recoiling, going, no, you're not actually going to let, you know, you're not, if I'm getting in fights, you're not going to give me a safe space to go relax. I'm just immediately going to get in trouble. So kind of like as my teen self, I was almost like, this lady's giving me stuff that's not true. You know, where you kind of don't believe that the person in front of you is really going to be as helpful as they're saying that they are. But obviously that would be a part of, I'm not a real, well, I am a real person, but I'm not a real teen. And that'd be a part of kind of the ongoing coaching relationship. But if you could do everything that you've just said, which I'm assuming you can, then your school is great. And I wish all my kids went to it.
And that is true. Even if you try to set something up like that, you know, there is the kid who really does have a lot of problems regulating their emotions. And if you say that sort of time out, that time away is necessary, you don't have it, but you're trying to set it up, then one of the things that, you know, I would say, because I remember you saying, oh, they're not going to let me do that. You know, there have been a number of times when I've been coaching kids and we've come up with something and they will say, oh, nobody's going to let me do that. They're not. And I'll say, well, why is it that you think they won't let you do that? And so they might say, oh, because we can't do this, or this person doesn't like that. And so then I'll say, well, okay, let's put that down as one of our options. Go talk to other people and see if we can get this done. This way, if we can't, let's come up with like a plan B. Let's come up with an option number 2. Think, you know, would help you be able to sort of keep your calm in that situation, you know, that type of thing. So you can always do like an A and a B, because sometimes you do have to go to teachers and other people and say, listen, this kid really needs, are you willing to let them go to this space, you know, when they feel like they're getting out of control? And so sort of taking the time to be able to put together all the pieces to the puzzle. That way it doesn't feel to them that, oh, you did something, you know, you told me I was going to be able to do something, now I can't do it. Whereas they understand, okay, we're going to work on this, see if we can get this set up. If we can't get this set up, then we always have our plan B.
Yeah. I think I also trusted the whole time that you had control of the conversation, even when I deliberately stopped talking and was very unhelpful. It didn't throw you off. You didn't, you know, jump in to try to fill those silences. You just kind of let them happen and then proceeded at your own pace. And that actually made me very comfortable, because I didn't feel like there's a lot of pressure on me to be filling these things that I didn't know how to fill. One thing in particular that stuck out to me is when you were trying to get me to think about my body response, is some of the things you said were emotions and some of them were actually physical responses. So it was like, did you feel hot? Did you feel anxious? And me and my teen brain is going, what does it feel like to feel anxious? Like, what is that? So because I was trying to kind of bring to mind how I feel angry, and that kind of threw me off in that moment. Obviously, as an adult, I can make that jump, but and I guess one more thing, I kind of did a deliberately mean thing to you, because my kids all the time, every day, I did this because they made me. So I tried to see how many times I could say, she made me do this, without you catching me out on it and go, well, actually, no, you did this. So that was just a thing that I'm horrible and mean and I did to you. But I did get to slide it in quite a few times where it was like it was never my fault. I never really took responsibility for what I was doing. So, but overall, very pleasant. I enjoyed it.
Well, and the blaming thing, I mean, so many of our teens will where they do, you know, feel like at some point it is, well, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have done this. Well, if this hadn't, you know, this person said this, did this, all this happened, so that's why I did these things. And so sometimes, depending, you really have to feel them out individually. Sometimes you can directly address it and really, you know, coach them into taking better responsibility for, you know, their actions. With other kids, it really is sort of a process where you have to sort of go at it a piece by piece and kind of really take the long route around getting them to see, oh, well, if there's something I need to change, there's something I need to do different. And this was one of those, like with Olivia, that would have been the approach I would have taken, not to directly go, but to take sort of the long route with several different conversations to work her to the point where it's like, okay, it's not always everybody else. It's, you know, there's something I'm doing specifically that I need to take responsibility to, you know, for in this too. That yes, the girl might have did and said what she did, but there's something I need to own, you know, in this situation, which is my response or my reaction to it.
Yeah.
So let's
I heard it was
go
like,
ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was noticing that she was saying that, and you know, with my little third graders, when they're saying it, I'm like, no, we're gonna stop right there. But I knew Olivia could handle walk circles around me in this, so I was like, I'm just gonna tackle that in a future session with her.
Absolutely. And that's a good example that in remembering that coaching is a long-term process and it's not a one, like a lot of times in schools, because we're dealing with stuff, we want to just get it fixed right away, but it's not a one-time thing. Like it's not to get her to, and even earlier with my session with you, like gonna get resolved in one session. It was, let's sort of start to explore and bring things up, and then we'll see which direction we go with it. And so it could be several sessions later before we get to something, you know, some definitive result. It's the same thing with this one. We know this issue is there, so let's start to explore it and see if we can get to some definitive results. So for all of them, just knowing going into it that it's a long-term conversation, you know, at several sessions that you're working with, and you don't need to feel the pressure to come to some resolution today. The conversation, we started exploring it, and we'll see, you know, how many conversations we need to have before we get to, you know, some action with it. All right, so let's do this. Oh, I see Curtis has jumped in. Hey, Curtis.
Hello, hello. How's
Yes,
everyone?
I'm here.
All right. So there is an important piece in this one that works really well with kids as well as adults when they learn it too, about just sort of how the brain works with us getting out of control and doing what we call flipping our lids. So I know that in my one-on-one, Olivia and I had a conversation about this. And so Olivia, I'm gonna ask you, Coach Aisha, if you're still, are you gonna be still for a minute? Are you still moving?
Sorry, I missed what you said right before you talked to Kaisha. It cut out for a minute.
Oh, so I'm gonna ask you, Olivia, to coach Kaisha if she's still. If she's not still, then we'll have you coach Curtis
Okay.
in around this concept of flipping your lid. So sort of teaching. So again, it's a teen with some anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a conversation with them about what this whole process that we have of flipping your lid and sort of what that looks like, what that feels like. So probably very similar to what you said earlier that you did with your
Right.
program. So getting them
Right.
to understand sort of what that concept is.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna let you coach Curtis in it. We'll flip back to Kaisha. Curtis do a coaching session. All right. So you are in
Yes.
this, you're going to be the client, you're going to be the team. Olivia is going to be the coach. You are a teen who, has some anger issues, to fly off the handle, flip out, here and there. And so Olivia is going to have a coaching session with you, educating you a little bit more about what's happening with you when you do this. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Olivia, take it away.
Hi, Curtis.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking me. So I've noticed lately that you've been having some trouble with you getting really mad. Do you think that's fair?
Yes,
Yeah?
but
Have you
there's
felt mad today?
not right now, but there's been issues, reasons why I just don't get mad because I want to get mad because people push my buttons.
Ooh, what's it feel like when people push your buttons?
Well, when they push my buttons, I feel hot. I feel I feel angry. I feel like I sometimes want to throw things,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even yell, scream, or tell them to get out my face. Get from around me. You know, I I have destroyed some things. Maybe broke a window.
Mm-hmm.
Or tossed things across the room. But I only do it when I get mad. So I tell people, don't get me mad. Don't push my buttons.
All right. So when you get mad, do you always do things like break windows or throw things?
No, not always. But it depends on the circumstance. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just don't like to feel. I feel when I get people approach me, I feel like they're judging me.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me mad when I feel like I'm being judged.
Okay. So what happens inside you when you get to that kind of extra level of mad that makes you want to throw things and break windows?
Well, I feel like I want to shut down. I kind of tune people's out, and then they just keep pushing and asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes not talking directly at me, just kind of accusing me, or not giving me a chance to explain myself on why I'm trying whatever discussion or they're trying to say to me. It's always a lot of you messages,
Mm-hmm.
like they're talking down to me. Makes me feel stupid.
Mm-hmm. And does that making you feel stupid make you feel like you're gonna lose control?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I feel like when they make me feel stupid, I want to make them look stupid.
Okay. So Curtis, do you work out your body? Do you do healthy things for your body?
Well, someone tried to teach me meditation once as a means of calming down with my anger,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to learn. It
That's
just
fair.
it's the moment of the event that's taking place. It's easy to learn it when nothing's going on, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
not angry, for real. But when actually the event comes, it's hard to remember all the things that I've tried to practice because it's a live event now and the emotions are there. So kind of, I guess you could say I'm a work in motion,
Okay.
trying to learn those things, but it's harder when actually the event is in front of me right now.
All right, Curtis, do you have a favorite sport?
Yes,
Can you tell me what it is?
I like football.
All right.
You know, I like boxing because I feel like those sports has kind of maybe helped me with some of my aggression.
Okay.
You know, I could have contact and with other people's and physical contact that is. You know, and that I like that. And maybe someone told me maybe I'm better at physical things and then I have to work at more of my mental capacity things. But I like to be maybe physically aggressive with things of that nature.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use football as an example. So, just like you would work out your muscles, you would run drills. So when you're ready for a football game, you can play it right. You can do that same thing with your mental, with your brain. Just like you need to train those muscles, you can train your brain. Right? Can you go like this for me? All right, Curtis. This is your brain. Hello, Curtis. All right, can you take your thumb and go like this? So, this is the bottom bit of your brain. What do you think goes on in the bottom bit of your brain?
I don't know.
You don't know? Any guesses?
Well, maybe my thoughts and my actions.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty close. So the bottom bit of your brain has all of your emotions in it. The bottom bit of your brain is everything that makes you go. It's everything that you feel, right? So can you take these fingers and go like this? So this is the top bit of your brain. And when your brain's all clicking along, it covers this bottom bit. What do you think the top bit does?
Probably soothes me and releases the things that maybe makes me feel good.
Yeah, I think that's a great description of it. You said it pleases things? Yep, so that's basically what it does. This bit is the logic. It's the bit that helps you make decisions. It's the bit that helps you think with compassion. When your brain's all clicking along, this bit helps this bit out. So it takes all these feelings that you're feeling and it helps you use them in a way that's good for you. It helps you make decisions. It doesn't make you go rah, rah, rah and run through the world, punching windows, right? So when we talked about you feeling the need to break windows and to throw things, what do you think happens to your brain when you get to that point? If normally this is your brain and this is cradling this and all the logic is great, what do you think your brain does when you want to break a window?
Well, probably like you said, maybe this part is probably all over the place here.
It is exactly all over the place. It actually does exactly what you just did with your hand. This bit of your brain goes, whoop, nope, not hanging out with you anymore. And it flips up like this. Have you ever heard the phrase flipping out?
Yes.
That's literally what your brain does. You flip your lid, and all of a sudden this bit's in charge, right?
Okay.
But just like we would train your muscles for a football game, we can train this bit of your brain to come back down and give you that bit of control again. So when you feel like you want to break windows and your brain does this, then you can go, nope, nope, need to do this, and you can keep that in check.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's like closing the door back.
Does that feel like?
How do I have to probably try to learn that, how to close the door back. But like I said earlier, it's easy to know that, but hard to do that.
It is. Does that feel like a thing you'd want to learn some skills to help you do?
Yes, I would. I would love to learn some skills to do it, and I just ask that maybe I can tell it's going to take time. And hopefully I have the patience to do it and learn it.
Well, I believe you can. And there's things we can do that are really quick ones that you can learn right now and start doing tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And then there's other things we can do, just like going back to football. There's things we can do that build you up over time. And then there's things we can do really quick that are little skills that you can start doing right away. So does that sound like something you'd want to work on?
I would love to work on. I know that I do get angry, and I just need to probably learn as much techniques as possible to control it. But I don't. Some people even said that I might need to take medication. And I don't want to take medication. I would rather, if I can learn to control my emotions with myself versus medicine, I would love to do that.
Well, I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with taking medication. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's mind is different. But that's a decision you and your parents make for you. So
Yeah,
I, on my side, can help you out with those skills, and you on your side and your parents' side can decide what's best for you going forward.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
Stop there for right now.
Thanks.
End scene.
All right. That was good. The thing that I liked with Olivia's coaching was the fact that, when you start conversations, they can be seen as difficult conversations. And especially if, Curtis is a kid where he's, clearly indicated in the beginning that people have told me. So he's with other adults around his anger, and we don't know what kind of conversations they've had with him, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't know whether they've been positive conversations, whether they've been negative conversations, whether they have sort of set him up to feel like, and people think I just need to be medicated, I'm not good with this, those kinds of things. So I like the way you sort of ask questions to kind of feel out, where he was with this. And then you made a very good connection, because he was highly skeptical, right? He's like, that didn't work, and I can't really do it on the fly. I can't really do it, in the moment. You use something that he connected with, which was football, get him to see and to make a vision that, the same way that you would train for football is the same way that we would train, your brain to be able to do this. That is, and I love the way that you didn't just use an analogy, but you asked him what he liked. Because then he's going to be more keyed in. He's going to be more invested in it, because you're talking about what he likes, not just I like basketball. So, you could have just said, well, think about basketball, and then basketball. But if the kid doesn't like that, you still haven't made the connection that you're trying to make. So I liked both of those things, that the rest of the conversation was driven, even when he went back to being a little skeptical, because he got excited. He's like, oh, you could teach me how to do this? But then he went back to his skepticism and saying, well, but it might take time. This thing seems like something that's going to take a while. But, I like the way that you went back with it and say, well, think about football. There are quick skills that we learn, and then there are long-term skills. So again, that using just that connection with football is a way that you could take this conversation long-term and coach him in actually learning these skills in a way that he would probably be very comfortable with. I really liked, the approach that you took with getting him into that. Any feedback you have for Olivia on her coaching?
Yeah, it was very, she did a very good job. I had I taught anger management to youth in the past, and they're very defensive, with their emotions, and especially, with the you messages, is not to really point the fingers. She never did that, not to say you couldn't do this, and you're the issue, you're that, they do not like to hear that at all, And the biggest thing is that what I like about the coaching aspect and what she did, she kind of empowered me in the process, of taking control of the anger itself, and that's one of the parts that I taught is that we cannot control the events. You cannot control the events of anger, but you can control the response. That event's going to always be there, and it might be someone else's event, or you might get pulled in an event. But how you respond to it is 100% of how you can react to it. That's your control of the anger moment at that time is that you can control how your response is going to be to the event. So she gave me positive reinforcement of how I can do things, and particularly with closing the door part. Is that, hey, just because the door flung open, I have the power to close the door back. Almost like as the wind blows the door open, you can grab the door and pull it back in and put it back in place where it should be. So when she gave me not only the visual aspects of it, with the hand, I think that was a great analogy, with having to explain to me how the brain works from the top to the bottom, and the flap coming open and the closing and the flipping. So it kind of put it in sense. So you did a great job, just with me instructing anger management. You've taken something away from that, from what you said. It was a great illustration, an example, a visual with the hand part, and also Dr. Tanya with the analogy you said with football is you found my interest, what I like you said, if you talked about well, you should go. I've heard this too. People say, well, maybe you need to take up gardening that relaxes you. But I don't like to garden, So what was that going to do? I want me to garden. And the kids will walk away and say, no, this teacher told me I need to go gardening. But when you said football, I can relate, and that's just not even kids, even on us as adults, we relate to things that we have some common things that we know that we do and we like, so we can relate to those things. So I think that was very, very good, very good, very good.
Definitely, the flipping your lid exercise that's in your coach's manual, it is one of probably out of all the ones that we teach, and again, it's not one that we created, but one of the most powerful ones that we have in getting kids to really see what happens, with their brains and what happens with all of us. It's like, this is what your brain really does when you get in these really stressful situations. And so it really gives them, because they do have that, that sort of physical way of seeing it. And this whole flipping, version of it that they can really see. And, I've worked in schools where I have kids who were in sort of a verbal altercation, and I have been able to just do this, and they understand, like, because they're kids that I've worked with, that, I walk up, I'm doing this, and they will look at me and they instantly know. It's almost become like, you know what, you're flipping your lid, you're getting it, and they'll be like, okay. And then they, sometimes they're like, how'd you get that kid to just turn around and walk away? And I'm like, wasn't any magic, it's conversations that we had, so they know what this is. They know you're going in that place, and if you keep going, if you keep saying what you're saying, if you keep, going at this teacher or whoever, it's going to end up in some consequence that you don't really want. And so again, you can control it, you can do something different. So it definitely works well. The last thing with Olivia's that I want to say is, I like the way when he brought up the medication and the fact that, people say I need to be on medication, how you address that, but not with judgment. You addressed it by saying, well, and you kept it in the coaching realm and saying, well, in coaching, this is what we can do. I can help you with these skills. I can help you learn these things. And then you and your parents have to make a decision about any of that. So, and that is because what we do as coaches really borders and crosses over so much into counseling. Always be clear in all of our conversations that we have with kids that that's not what we're doing. You know, that we're not psychologists, we're not talking to you about medication and all that kind of stuff. That what we're doing is we're teaching you skills that you're going to need to be successful, and it's going to help you be, you know, a better person. And so in our realm and what we talk about, this is what we can do. If that happens, and again, you didn't judge it, because some people you might take that personally and say, well, you know, everybody always thinks that, you know, Curtis as being, you know, an African American male, somebody might say, well, you know, people always say African American males need to be medicated. You don't need to be medicated. You need to be this. Well, now you're passing judgment on his situation because you have no idea. You know, you just know what he just said, that people have said that. So not going, you know, into it one way or the other, just saying this is what I can help you, and then you have to talk to your parents about that other piece was good. So for our last one, I want you to coach on, and we're going to leave this open. So you have a student who is late to school every day. This student is late to school, and you just want to sort of open up a coaching dialogue about sort of what's going on, and possibly weave in if possible. So you want to start to, you know, introduce a coaching conversation to this student so that you can sort of get to the heart of what's happening that caused the student to be late to school every day. And so since both Olivia and Rachel have been in the hot seat, choose who you coach. So do you want to coach Olivia or do you want to coach Rachel?
I couldn't tell. You was kind of breaking up. Was you referring to me?
So you're gonna coach. Did you hear what I said about what the coaching situation is?
No, you was freezing on me, and you was going in and out.
Okay,
I don't know if you call my
I can
name.
tell that. Right. So you're gonna coach one of them around being late to school every day.
Okay.
And so you just want to get to sort of start a conversation or get to the heart of what's causing them to be late every day. A time management issue, then you can address time management as, you know, the skill that they need.
Okay.
Take it whichever way you want, as you know, when they start to talk to you. So Olivia or Rachel?
We'll do Rachel.
Okay, Rachel, you're up.
I'm gonna quickly run to the restroom. I'll be right back, just so no.
Okay.
Hello, Rachel.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good, good. I've noticed that you're kind of late often in school. You want to talk about what's going on?
I just have way too much to do in the mornings. And you know, my mom drives me to school and she's not always ready. It's not always my fault, but I have a lot to do every morning before I get to school.
Oh, okay. What about the night before? What is your evening and your night before you go to bed?
Usually I finish my homework and eat dinner, and then I watch my favorite TV shows, and then I read, and then I go to bed.
Is there any things that maybe you can do the night before that you usually do in the morning?
Well, I have to shower first thing every morning because it wakes me up, and I like to go for a run with my dog in the morning, because then if I did it at night, I'd have to take a shower at night and then again in the morning, and that would just be too much. Then I have to eat eggs and toast for breakfast every day.
So
So
some of the things that you do in the morning, you think, is there a possibility to maybe substitute some things, to prepare yourself for school that day? for coming to school. Like you say, is there anyone else, for instance, to walk the dog? Or is that just your responsibility?
Oh, well, he just likes me the best, and if he doesn't get enough exercise, then he gets in trouble during the day. Um, and my parents aren't always around to do the walking, and they're not young enough to run with him, and some days I have to run with him to get out his energy, and so really I'm the only one that can do it.
Have you spoken to anyone at the school level in reference to assistance to maybe for other alternatives besides your mom training to school, like busing? Or have your
No,
parents?
I don't like the bus. It's loud, and I have really long legs and I can't sit normally on a bus, and it's too crowded for me to have my own seat, and so then I have to sit with my knees up by my shoulders, and it just is very uncomfortable, and if I wear a skirt or a dress, it's not I'd get in trouble for dress code, because if I had to sit with my knees up to my shoulders, then it would not look good.
You also stated that your mom is late. Does your mom is she on her way to work with you to drop you off at school?
No, she doesn't have to go into work until 9. So she drops me off at school and then goes back home.
Well, so are you saying your mother is late dropping you off? And why is she? Do you know why she is late dropping you off?
Well, really, she's waiting on me. She's always ready to take me whenever I'm ready.
Oh, so what we might have to do is work on what we call organizational skills and prioritizing and getting ourselves organized the night before and prioritizing the things that's important to us when we start our day. And I do understand that, you have to groom yourself in the morning, prepare yourself to shower and things of that nature to go to school. But some of the other things, we might need to prioritize as for the dog and things like that, walking, taking time early in the morning. Maybe we can, not to say you can't walk, but maybe shortening the time frame we're using for the walk in the morning. How long do you think you're using for that walk with the dog?
Oh, maybe but 20 to 30 minutes. I guess I could wake up earlier. I don't wake up till 7:15, and I have to get to school well, school starts at 8. So I
Let me ask
guess
you,
I could earlier.
let me ask a question. How do you feel when you come to school late?
Well, the first part of school, it's just announcements, and it's really a waste of time because we're in like our homerooms for the first 15 minutes and nothing happens. So, I mean, I don't think school should start till 8:15 anyway.
But school starts at 8 o'clock, you say?
Yes, but it's just advisory period, and so I think it's a waste of time.
Is there information shared during that period?
Just announcements, but they also send us an email with the announcements, so I would rather have it on email.
But do you understand that also that it's affecting your attendance status at school with tardies?
Well, I have good grades, so I don't know why it matters if I'm at school at 8 or 8:15.
But you still have good grades.
I do. Because I'm not late to any classes, I'm just late to advisory, and I think it's a waste of time.
But advisory is a part of the school day, am I correct?
I guess, but I don't think it's an important part of the school day.
How do your mom feel about the tardies? The school have spoken to her about that, and how does she feel about that?
Well, she tries to get me to hurry in the mornings, but like she's tried waking me up earlier, but I just don't get out of bed. It's too hard. I'm too tired.
How do you think we can improve? I want to bring you in the process of improving this. How do you think we can improve this? Is it something that we can do on the school level, or is it something that your mom can do, or is it something that you can do?
I don't understand why we have an advisory period for 15 minutes when the announcements only take 2 minutes. I don't understand why school can't just start at 8:15 and the 2 minutes of our first class just be announcements.
Well, all the students are under the
I-
same rules of the school that start at that time. So let me give you an analogy of if it's a job, so you have to be there at 8 a.m. and you're punching in at 8:15. That could impact your job status. In other words, you could not, after so many write-ups, you could not have a job after many of those infractions and being tardy. So, the school teaching is to be on time also, and not to impact you, and also train you for the future. So time schedules is very important, on the high school and the school level, but also in the work professional level also. So everything at school is an educational process of learning. So one of the most important things is to be on time. If not, there's going to be consequences for tardiness to school and also tardiness to your employer. So this is all about learning here. So it's going to have an impact on your life. And if we continue to have tardiness, there's going to be consequences, and then you're going to further fall behind, or either you're going to probably even be discharged if this was unemployment, for instance. So we do need to improve, the tardiness and get you on time so we can have you as a better rounded student here at the school. And also when you do leave us, so you can hopefully maintain employment.
I guess that makes sense.
This is education, so it's nothing about you personally. It's just that we're trying to teach, you the skill set that we need to teach you, and being on time is a very important part of education.
Okay, I guess I could wake up a little earlier in the mornings.
A
Maybe if
little
I go
early,
to bed,
and
then I
maybe
could wake up.
prioritizing some things also, as what's important to you to start your day. It's hard to for we're not there with you, so this is some skills that you're going to probably have to work on of importance to you to start your day.
I can try to do better.
Okay, so let's plan to keep in touch with each other, and I will monitor you, and see how we're improving. And then if we have to, we'll make other arrangements. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. In the beginning, she was she all the answers as far as things to do. So I like the way you transition from I'm so busy, I have 50 things to do in the morning, to it really being more about of that first 15 minutes, the advisory period. So sometimes when we start a conversation and you think it's one thing, the more we explore it, we realize that it's actually not what we think it is as adults, but it's something totally different. So I like the way that the conversation progressed into really getting to the heart of what the issue is, which is a tough issue, and one that is common for a lot of high schoolers, with having an advisory period, type of a homeroom period or whatever they call it at the beginning of the school day, where kids feel like, oh, that's a waste of time, and I just make sure I make it on time for my first period class. So it's a very common scenario that you guys worked on. Liked the piece how you work through sort of looking at all the different aspects of her day, from asking her first about, well, how many things do you do, can you move those things, so you continue to give as to how she could rearrange or reprioritize things, so moving things from the morning to the evening. When that didn't kind of come through, then you started to work with her on options of getting, someone else. That didn't work. Options school. So um,
Dr. Tanya, you're breaking up.
Hello? Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay.
Dr. Tanya?
I can't do anything. It's frozen.
We can hear you now.
But standing still.
There you go.
Hear me, but you can't see me. Oh, here we go. The internet is back. So the last thing that I said was I like the way, again, that you sort of kept giving her options. So every time she sort of cut off one, you came up with another, you came up with other ways of sort of exploring it. I will say, I thought we lost Curtis, but he's still here. The connection that you eventually made to the world of work, and sort of how what you do now will impact what you do later. The one suggestion I will give is making sure that you ask. So you did a lot of leading in the conversation where you were sort of supplying the options. And you have to remember in coaching that what we do is to ask the questions to get them to see solution is, and what the potential solution could be for them. So instead of doing so much guiding her as to sort of, well, you could do this, or let's try this, it's more of asking her questions. If you give one potential solution to kind of get it going, then asking her, well, if that's not something that will be helpful, what do you think will be helpful? What do you think will be already said that she didn't value that, advisory time. Well, is there a way that you can make that more valuable? How do you think this will impact you later if you keep making this decision to not show up for this 15 minutes? Then how will this impact you later? Or you could have given like a scenario of the work situation to say, well, when we go to work, sometimes we have meetings at the beginning. Or you could say, yourself, sometimes I have meetings at work that I don't think are very valuable. What do you think will happen if I didn't come to those meetings? That way you're kind of leading, you're giving her questions that's going to help her get to where you want to go, but not necessarily guiding her to that. And then Rachel, any feedback you have for Curtis?
I thought he did a really good job asking a lot of questions and trying to, give options of, well, what could you move to your evening routine? And I was glad that he asked, is your mom the one actually making you late? Because I know I know so many times in high school, I would blame me being late on my mom when my mom was ready, at 7 a.m. and she had to wait for me because I didn't want to get out of bed. So to make me really admit that it's not my mom that's making me late, it's myself. To make me take that ownership was good. And then relating it to the workforce was also eye-opening, that even though it's something that you think is stupid, it's still a rule, and it's still part of school. So that was good. And the funny side note is I had a student that was always late to my class in Japan because she had to take an hour bath every morning. And she's like, I have to take an hour-long bath or I can't come to school. And so she was
Wow. Okay.
every single day. And she just had to take her bath. So
And that was just her priority, and she wasn't willing to break that
Wake up.
priority.
Nope. So
See.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, even in the coaching conversations that we have, some of these are long term too, and getting kids to see. And if they don't see an immediate consequence, like that situation, obviously, immediate consequence to her taking an hour. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Just knowing that some of these conversations are going to be long term, and sometimes, the kids won't necessarily we think they should be, and that's okay. That if that Rachel just gave, if that student really values that hour bath and isn't willing to give it up, then sometimes as adults we have to be okay with that and just know that there are logical consequences that come to everything that we do. And so as long as you have helped the team to see what those consequences are, then sometimes they're willing to accept them, and that's okay. Always going to sort of move them to where we think they should be. Coaching a lot of times is about them being okay with where they are and the decisions that they make. Right, so I think we have gotten through all of the ones except for one that I wanted Kaisha to do, but we lost her. So we've gotten through all of the ones that we were going to do today. We have, so this week coming up, what we will do is we will release and 8 at the same time. They're both connected to each other, but similar, and they're shorter. So it'll be easy for you guys to get through both of those in 1 week together. And then I need to schedule, so I'll send you an email about scheduling your 101. So just look for an email.
Were you saying something to me? Did you say Curtis? Yeah. I saw it.
Yes.
It kind of muted itself.
I said we need to get together.
Okay, it was freezing there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was freezing. Okay, we're back.
So I said we need to get together to do your one-on-one. So I'll send you an email to see what time frame you have this week. So it's short. It's usually about like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'll schedule that with you for this week.
Okay, great. Because I was going to ask that question. I was on the website and everything was unavailable. And so on the clicking.
Okay. Yeah. Email, tell me which day and what time frame after. So either Tuesday through Friday of next week.
Okay.
And then we can get it scheduled.
Sounds good.
All right. So Any questions about anything we went over today? Any of the coaching demonstrations that we did, or just anything else that's on your mind for anybody?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment to make, or I guess a statement or an announcement. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so tired, guys. But our summer cohort is coming up for the Teen Life Coaching. And so, Dr. Tanya, I just wanted to remind you to remind them if they know anybody. So you can go ahead and take it from there.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the reminder. So yes, we are, and I know in the one-on-ones I said to Rachel and Olivia that we are doing our advertising now for the summer cohort. So if you guys know of anybody, we always ask all of our students to spread the word. So if you know of any other colleagues that you have, any other teachers, or just people in general who work with kids that you think may be interested, then please, by all means, spread the word. We love referrals. And what we'll do this week, probably by Tuesday, once we all get back to work from the holiday, I'll send out an email that's similar to the announcement that we send out to people, letting them know that we're doing the summer training. And so that way you have the email, and if you want to forward it to people that you know, then you can have something specific to forward to them. So Curtis, did you hear that piece that I just said? I know
Yes.
you were gone for a second.
No, I just turned. I was still in the audio distance. I heard you.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So yeah, if there's not anything else, then that's it for us today.
Okay,
So
everyone have
you
a
guys
good
enjoy your
holiday.
holiday weekend. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right,
Okay.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Uh,